Another in my series of videotapes about, or uploads, I should say, about St. Joseph, Missouri, the city worthwhile. And it is not what it was. And so this review is going to look at talent from St. Joe. 86 names I'm going to quickly dash through. And see, here's 79 names at the IMDB, International Movie Database website, imdb.com. Just go there, find somebody from St. Joe like Eminem, Ruth Warwick, and when it says St. Joseph, Missouri, you click on that little URL, and it takes you to this list. I've tried to tell some of the media people in St. Joe about this, and they've not quite caught on to it. I'm going to add 7 names here before we get started. I did an earlier take of this and put them at the end, but you'll get bored before I get to the end of this list, I fear. So I'm going to start with the names now. And so in terms of movie and film, I would start with Jill Eikenberry, not on this list. She lived in St. Joe for a couple of years, actress, as a young lady. My friend Denny took her to a pool party. He said he threw her in the pool, and she wasn't impressed. Take a lesson, guys. Also, from St. Joe, Dave Duckworth, excavator in Mel Gibson's The Patriot, in a bunch of cable shows about lawmen and outlaws of the West, because Dave can ride and he can shoot, and is very good in those roles. The Hall brothers, they were in some soap opera, and then they moved back from the West Coast to St. Joe a decade ago, and one was in a movie that debuted there in St. Joe. I don't remember the title. His brother was a pharmacist. They had a band. They moved on to Kansas City. Anyway, speaking of music, Bugsy Mao, bass player extraordinaire with Paul Butterfield, with Janis Joplin, did a Grammy-nominated solo album. He's worth looking up, Bugsy Mao, overlooked guy there. And then, of course, the guy that was lead singer for Kansas, and Kathleen Holman. And I should mention Anthony Glise, Glise, the only American guitarist to win first prize in the International Toscanini competition in Italy. And now, so let's review the 79 people that IMDb lists from St. Joe. Timothy Osmondson, Eminem, Jane Wyman, of course, Betty Garrett, who was blacklisted and her career cut short. Ruth Warwick will be seen in an upcoming upload, a portion of her sermon that she preached at the former Unitarian Universalist Church, now the Downtown Abbey there on 12th Street. And then Nicole Taylor, Irving Bacon, character actor in lots of movies, as was Benny Baker, was in quite a few movies. Walter Cronkite was born in St. Joe, lived there for all of 6 months before his family moved to Texas. He may have come back to visit his uncle, a dentist. He claimed he didn't have much memory of St. Joe, but St. Joe claims him as their own. Jeff Morris, good old boy, down-home boy. You know, he owned Bob's Country Bunker and the Blues Brothers 1 and 2. And then, of course, Georgia Hale and Charlie Chaplin's The Gold Rush, Brooke Mills, Zon Murray, Dorothea Kent, Frank Thomas, June Clyde, Jacob Hayes, Shelley Wagner, Mona Malden, Rocky Rockwell, Jason Stafford, Sid Rogel, Jack Clark of The Gong Show, Mary Cooper, Dark Shadows, Fred Ahern, production manager. Paul Crouch was a televangelist of the Trinity Broadcasting Network. And Norbert Brodin, Leroy Prinz, Fred Lau, Edward Wiskowski. You know, wrestling used to be a big deal back there in St. Joe 50 years ago, 60 years ago. Anyway, when they had the downtown auditorium. Porter Strong, Coleman Hawkins, famous jazz musician. His the place where he was born and lived is an empty lot, but some thoughtful person has planted flowers in the front yard. purple flowers in the shape of a saxophone. John Pringle, Frederick Davis, Steve Walsh, Reed Woodbury Jr., Paul Armstrong, Marston Fay, Jeff Chitty, Richard Lockridge, Michael Anderson, Brian McDonald, Warren Neff, Judy Hamilton, Justin Berganzoni, Debbie Mathers, who I believe is the mother of famous son Eminem, Tyson Minnick, Ryan McEnany, Waldo Twitchell, Rob Fredrickson, and Paul Jerome, Lucille Brokaw, Ray Chambers, Goody Montgomery. Don't hear many women named Goody anymore, do you? K. Waldo Barnes, newscaster, WDAF Kansas City, Joel Moss, Jay Sarno, Rex Maupin, Kay Noble, Derek Ferguson, Rob Kunkel, Olive Young, Brandon Galvin, John Brown, George Hall, Spider Matlock, Catherine Davis, Benjamin Peary, Paul Bristow, Mark Shiner, Ted Kane, Timothy Carney, Fred Harmon, David Craig Montgomery, Don Carney, DJ Peterson, Beulah Pointer, Paul Bernard, and Speck Noblet. You don't hear many men named Speck either anymore. Well, there you go. Some of those people were wrestlers. A lot of talent there from a small town. It's been the population of about 70,000 as long as I can recall. Well, thanks for watching. Upcoming is another one or two videos about Old St. Joe. Thank you.